Welcome. 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 Welcome to Sports Talk, to Sports Talk, to Sports Talk, Sports Talk. In the Burgh. In the Burgh. In the Burgh. In the Burgh.
And welcome to a new edition of Sports Talk in the Burgh. My name is Nick Hederick, still stranded on Exile Island. Stranded is also the name of my podcast, which you can listen to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Spreaker. Wow. I'm also still really battling a kidney stone, but it's all right. The pain from that is nothing compared to the pain of working for Logan Carney, who's already harassing me. Let's introduce our panelists. First, the man who spends more time on the phone with his mother than doing research for the show, it's Adam Maluso. Next, his tie is black and yellow, and so are his teeth. It's Michael Shuley.
Wow. That's clever.
And finally, the man who needs no introduction, the hottest takes and the coldest jokes, it's Logan Carney. Thank you guys for being here.
I don't know how I feel about the teeth joke.
Logan
I don't think
didn't
that
deserve
sat very well.
I'm sorry. It's all I could come up with.
For me is
I thought they were clever.
Well, it's
All right,
clever.
anyway,
Good enough.
we're going to start on the hardwood where we will be talking about the RMU women's basketball team, and thankfully not Shuley and I's intramural team. The women's basketball team won the NEC crown this past weekend. They will be heading to Louisville to take on the Cardinals. But first, how do you think they played in the NEC tournament? What players stood out the most to you all? And how do you think they can beat Louisville? Can they beat Louisville? Logan, I want to hear your beautiful voice to start us off.
Well, let's just say they have about as good of a chance of beating Louisville as your intramural team has of beating the women's basketball team at Robert Morris, which is pretty much zero. I don't think the women's basketball team will beat Louisville. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. They had a phenomenal season, and regardless of the score of the game on Friday, that's still a phenomenal season because, you know, an NEC team's not expected to beat the one of the top four teams in the entire country. That being said, you know, they played phenomenal in the playoffs, and they played phenomenal in the regular season for conference, something that, you know, if we go back to the first couple episodes of this season, or if we go back to, you know, some articles and other stuff, we would find stuff where, you know, we were doubting this team because they struggled in conference, and now
how good they were
they made everybody look wrong because they had a phenomenal season.
They came into the NEC tournament the number one team in the conference, and they proved to everyone why they were the number one team there. They were dominant against FDU. They had a little bit of a slip up against Mount St. Mary's, allowing them to come back from 15 points down and making that game close. And they were strong against St. Francis as well. A key player, though, that surprised me in this tournament, I think surprised a lot of people, was freshman Esther Castillo. Castillo became an absolute killer in the clutch moments of this one. 3 huge threes against Mount St. Mary's, and then the 3 that really kind of put the championship game out of reach for the Red Flash. She was a very nice surprise along with others in this game.
Yeah, and I thought the one thing that this team did really well in the championship game was, yes, they got support from out deep in 3 from Esther Castillo, Nina Augustin, and others, but they were able to work it so well inside the paint, and that's where it worked well. Now, even Nneka Ezebo, she had a huge offensive effort just in tight. Free throws, she struggled a little bit, but what this team did really well as well was limit Courtney Zeza, limit Jess Kovac. They led the Red Flash.
Well, Jess Kovac played. I have seen Jess Kovac a handful of times play. The all-time leading scorer in NEC history for women's basketball. And you know,
Francis
they shut her down against the first meeting in Loretto. I want to say she had a career low of like 7 points. 7 points or something like that. But she was god awful against in the championship game. She couldn't hit water if she fell out of a boat. She was heaving up shots out of nowhere. I heard a kid from the stands go, "What is she doing right now?"
All right, so we're going to keep it on the hardwood where we will be talking about the men's basketball team. They knocked off Cornell. Andy Bernard went there in case you didn't know. And if you don't get that, then you can go home, just like Cornell did. How would you rate their performance against Cornell? Were you disappointed by this season as a whole? What needs to change so they can bring home the NEC title? And what is Maddie McConnell's legacy? Mike, start us off.
Well, I'm of the thinking that any win, you got to rate it an A+. I mean, I don't care how it looks. And there was a lot of promising signs that I saw in this this win last night against Cornell. Yes, they still had the problem of starting off slow, but they were able to battle back as they always seemingly do. They always go on a stretch where they hit a few shots. Josh Williams, it kind of started at the end of that first half where Williams hit that 3 from the volleyball line from way deep. And, as for Matty McConnell's legacy, he's the heart and soul of this team. He's the emotional leader. He might not be the most skilled leader out there, but he certainly, wears his heart on his sleeve.
I think you got to. I gave him an A+ too, or an A. I think I gave him an A for this game. This is the first time since November of this year, November 19th against Stetson, in which Robert Morris, the men's team, won a game in which their opponent scored at least 70 points. And they've only done that once other year, so that when the defense didn't show up in the game, was something that is typically, because they gave up 82 points before the game went into overtime, typically they have ended up folding in games like that this year. As for McConnell goes, McConnell is arguably he's one of the best defenders in school history at men's basketball. Every single year, he finished top 100 in steal percentage, top 50 his first 3 years.
I think
and this was actually his lowest year.
The big thing for him was he also finished with this 1,000 career points over his 4 years. That's huge. Got over that mark this season. Honestly, I'll give that effort against Cornell an A. I really think that what this team did so well was they stepped up clutch. They're gritty. They know how to play well, even if they get down. I think that's the one thing they need to work on for next year is they need to work on not getting down so early in games and then always having to fight their way back. That's going to be key going into next season. If they change that, I think they have a good shot at winning the NEC title.
All right, so we're going to skate on over to the ice now. Maluso, you can borrow my jacket if you get cold. The men's hockey team knocked off Bentley last weekend in a gutsy 3-game series. Have they succeeded this year's expectations? What are the major keys to their success, and how will they bring down top-seeded AIC? Maluso, why don't you start us off?
Well, I think that triumph in Game 3, in overtime, Justin Adamo got the game winner. It was not a fluke. It wasn't always smooth sailing throughout this whole weekend. They definitely gave up a rough goal in that first game, going down and losing. Then they came back, huge goal by Mike Loria with, again, just a minute left in this game. I think that the one thing that's huge here, for them to beat the number 1 seed AIC, they're going to need staunch defense, which is what happens when this team is down. They fight back, and they're going to need a solid effort from Francis Marat in net.
This team, very similar to last year's team. I don't think, I want to say one of the main differences with this team maybe is, they might not have, the amount of skill, you don't have your Brady Ferguson out there. They don't have a lot of young guys, but they're just like last year's team. They're clicking at the right time. Marat's playing well in net. Ever since that series against Mercyhurst, because they were terrible coming out of into the new semester. They had won like 2 games up until February. Then they sweep Mercyhurst in the home and home, and they have been almost unstoppable since then. Yeah. And
not just up to February. They won 2 games up till March. So
yes.
up through February. Again, you look at the youth of the team, 11 freshmen, the largest freshman class in RMU men's hockey history.
And they're contributing, too.
And they're contributing.
You're gonna have to
I think this is a testament of the coach.
Step up, too, like unsung heroes.
Hold on, I'm talking. All right. Now, I think this is a big testament of the coach, Derek Schooley. This is obviously the guy that built the program, and now he's going through his first, probably his biggest major rebuild, and he's still finding a way to make it to Buffalo.
All right, so despite the remarkable NCAA run last season, the loss of a few key players has hindered the RMU men's lacrosse team thus far this season. They are 1-6 to start the year and have dropped their first conference game as well. What is the reason for their slow start? Will they figure things out now that they have entered conference play? What was their key to success last year? Was it just luck? Mike?
Originally, when I first saw this topic, I was like, well, they're still early in the season. Conference play just got underway. They lost the first game to a team that, I've talked to some people around the team, and they said, Sacred Heart might be one of the better teams in the entire conference. But then I looked at last year. This team is currently 1-6, Adam, and up until they lost 5 games all of last year. I think one of the key losses on this team, huge loss, Jimmy Perkins transferring to Nebraska. I think that loss is, just massive for this team.
And even though you did lose Jimmy Perkins, he's a huge offensive asset, but you also lost Zachary Bryant. He went to the MLL playing for the Ohio Machine. There are pieces here, Matt Schmidt, Tyson Gibson, Shane Majeski, just to name a few of the offensive core. There's still a lot of freshmen. Now, they don't always get the chance to play right away, but I think this team is going to have to find its niche and gel.
You didn't even mention the best player, Alex Hager.
Alex Hager is in net as well, yes.
One of the top goalies in all of college lacrosse. it's something you should be a little bit worried if you're a Robert Morris lacrosse fans. I don't think you should be pushing the panic button yet because they're only one game into conference play. But the fact of the matter is they haven't been able to win these close games. They lost to Georgetown by 3. Georgetown's ranked, but still lost by 3. They lost to High Point double overtime. They lost to Marquette by 2. Another good team. Lost to Sacred Heart by 2. That's
All
what you
right,
should be worried that they're not winning the close games.
Logan, hi, thank you.
Maybe you should be more
So now we're
assertive,
going to
Nick.
do something a little different. What coach do you think is the best at RMU and why? Who has had the most success in your opinion? Coach Luke from Coach Luke's Corner is not an option. Adam, why don't you start us off?
I got to say, women's basketball coach, Coach Charlie Biscaglia, he's a 3-time Coach of the Year winner in his past 3 seasons that he's had his first 3. And he's gotten his team to at least the NEC Finals and won in 2 of his first 3 years as head coach. Took over well from his father. And I really think that you can't even compare with any of the other coaches, and that's no disrespect to anyone.
Adam,
I think Coach B has
it's
the
not
best
a big
record.
surprise. We all have Coach B as the number 1 guy. What I think the real argument here, the real discussion is, where do you rank the people after Coach B? Do you have, I think personally, it's a very close argument for that number 2 spot between, I think, 3 people at the moment, Toole, Schooley, and Colantino.
I'd have to say with the success of the women's hockey program, I would say Colantino for my bid.
See,
I don't know. If you look at, it's a tough one because you can look at Coach Toole and what he's done with the men's basketball program. I mean, yeah, he's never lost in the first round. Yeah, he hasn't won as many NEC titles as the school would have liked. But you can go back to the Kentucky game and all this other stuff that he's been a huge part of. Something that is really a defining moment for RMU athletics. Something that I'm sure. I mean, I haven't seen the numbers, but I'm sure that it brings in a lot of money, donors, and alumni. He's somebody that the alumni love. And that same thing I think goes with Schooley too.
Yeah,
and I think Schooley's another.
See, I think I have
argument too.
I have to put Schooley above Toole for the simple fact that I think there's a little bit more consistency there. But Adam, you make a great point with Colantino and how much success they've had. So I'm going to agree with Maluso and put Colantino, Schooley, and then Toole at 4, which I didn't think Andy Toole would slip that far down my list.
All right, for the record, I thought Coach B would get it too, but no one cares that to think that's him over here. All right, do not change the channel because coming up next we have some topics regarding your favorite Pittsburgh sports teams. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Sports Talk in the Burgh.
I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Narnese. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
And welcome back to Sports Talk in the Burgh. I am still Nick Hedrick. We're going to move to professional sports now, and we will start with the Steelers. Is there more pressure on this team coming into this season, and are they still the favorites to win the AFC North? Logan, start us off.
Honestly, I think the better question with the Steelers is in terms of the news and everything. I mean, is what's going on with the leadership being questioned with Ben Roethlisberger? I mean,
but I was wrong.
But I was wrong. I said one of the worst leaders
I
ever.
never said anything. All right.
Your question of the leadership doesn't matter. It's to all's fair and love and war.
Let me finish my thought.
And in sports
It doesn't
talk.
even matter. Well, you can change your opinion. Yeah, it doesn't even matter. All right. Oh, I'm going to pretend I said something I didn't to make Logan look bad, even though Logan knows what I said.
You bring it on
All right,
yourself,
let's get
man.
back on track here. Even earlier today, about 3 hours ago, Le'Veon Bell in an interview said he was so close to signing a long-term contract with the Steelers this past year and coming back in week 1. He ended up not, and also blamed Ben Roethlisberger as part of the reason why he didn't. Now,
thank you.
There's a lot for me to do. He also said that Pittsburgh, if the city of Pittsburgh doesn't treat you as a human, and said the organization doesn't do that as well. So am I really going to believe the words of a guy that just turned down a larger contract, ended up getting less money with the New York Jets, and on his way out of town finally spoke up about something? Well, no. And then let me
chime in here. So I think the pressure is high, not because they have arguably, you can make the case Antonio Brown's a surefire Hall of Famer. You can make the case Le'Veon Bell is on the path to the Hall of Fame. Ben Roethlisberger is going to be in the Hall of Fame. David DeCastro is cruising along that route too. That's 4 Hall of Famers on the offense there, and they missed the playoffs last year. Granted, Bell didn't play, but now that those guys are gone and Bell and Brown, the focus shifts to the front office. Roethlisberger and Colbert. It's really starting to show now in this offseason the incompetency in the front office and the leadership position of this team. Melissa, I want to hear
and that's really, and I will get roasted for this, but I'm going to say there is no pressure on the Steelers right now because you know what? Yes, is the incompetency, as you put it, showing in the front office? Yes, but even though Brown and Bell are gone, I think they got rid of 2 huge cancers in the locker room. They were causing trouble off the field. Now I think that effort has to shift to guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, really good in receiving yards, Jalen Samuels, a lot of the young core. 1,000
only led the team last year in receiving yards.
We have to switch our efforts. We have to switch our efforts because Pittsburgh's 2 favorite athletes, Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell, are now officially gone on new teams, as they just mentioned, the Raiders and the Jets. Who will have a better future with their new team? Adam Maluso, share your thoughts with the gallery.
Well, I'm going to say that the Raiders are going to have more success with AB than
really
the
good
Jets
at receiving yards?
than the Jets will have with Le'Veon Bell. Raiders are coming off a 4-12 miserable season last year,
where they beat Pittsburgh.
They have this relocation to Vegas that is pending after next year, and I think that AB is one of the faces that, along with this move, they can put the Raiders on a good spot over the next couple of seasons. His stats are good for themselves.
Now hang on, really quick.
Go ahead, Nick.
How many receiving yards can AB get with that crappy O-line getting rushed all the time and pressure on Carr?
Is going to be better. I completely agree with you, Nick, and I completely disagree with you, Adam, because I think that Le'Veon Bell is in a position with a more talented team, a team that has more upside than the Raiders. The Raiders really started to hit their rebuild last year. They went 12-4, 2 years ago? Something like that, and made the playoffs. I think the Raiders are at a different point in the rebuild than the Jets are. I think the Jets are more up and coming, and that's why I think Bell's going to do better.
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. The Le'Veon Bell is going to be much better. I mean, it's Le'Veon Bell when he was in with Ben Roethlisberger in those past couple of years. Ben Roethlisberger actually threw more interceptions without Bell. Bell actually improved the offense much more and had a better thing than the team. Now Brown was phenomenal, but Brown's numbers took a significant drop off whenever Ben wasn't there. So if I'm going to see which one is going to be moving and can actually have a better effect on the team, it's the guy that the statistics show has been better with made his team better. I struggled there at the end, but I'll send it over to you, Adam.
The statistics show that we have to move on to the Pirates, who are gearing up for the regular season with the help of Ray Sarge. Hi, Melissa. And they have recently announced that Jung Ho Gong and Eric Gonzalez will be starting on the middle infield, or third base and shortstop. That's a typo on my end. Forget about it. Was this the right move? Does this position Bob Nutting's squad for success? Mike, tell us all about it.
Well, Nick, I'm very happy that you decided to start this one with me because I was a huge Jung Ho Gong doubter coming into this season, quite frankly. I honestly thought that he wasn't going to be able to hit the baseball to save his life, and I thought, honestly, he might be able to get cut. Nick, we're going to kick it back to you because you're calling a timeout here, I see in the corner of my eye.
I have to do it. Would you say that you were Jung Ho wrong?
Yes.
Pay me the big bucks.
I think it's nice to see the Gung's coming back, and I think that means Colin Moran's a very solid backup third baseman you have.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at this right here, and I was comparing both from even last season, the stats. Colin Moran, he had a .272 batting average last year. He had 12 home runs, 63 RBIs. I feel that it would be best to alter your third baseman and have it be Gunn and Moran.
Comparing the two from last year?
Yeah,
Gunn had 6 at-bats last year.
Yes, but I'm not talking about Gunn and Moran. I'm talking about Gonzalez. I'm talking about Gonzalez and Moran. I feel like it would be best to pair up Gunn
Gonzalez
and Moran.
were competing with each other.
That's what I'm saying.
That's two separate
I don't know.
positions.
Yeah, you're comparing two separate. You're comparing apples and potatoes.
So Gonzalez up against Newman.
Kevin
And
Newman.
I'm
All right,
sorry,
guys,
still
Newman,
isn't quite there
Guys.
in his development.
That was my bad. That was a
Hello.
mistake.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to shift in a completely different direction. I guess comparing the last topic to this one is like apples and potatoes. Johnny Manziel was recently signed to the AAF's Memphis Express. Did Manziel deserve this chance? Should Logan Carney give our friendship another chance? Will he be successful? Logan, I would be honored if you started us off.
Can I jump in?
Our friendship's been, ever since we moved you over there. I don't know why you can't get the hint that our friendship is over at this point, but our friendship has way been over.
Ready
Now,
for Manziel to compete with Baker Mayfield for the starting job?
I think you would move because you know I'd have to bait you any day of the week, but it's whatever. So
as far as Johnny Manziel goes, I mean, 100% he deserves a chance because he makes money. He gets people interested. We're talking about him. We're talking about a quarterback in the AAF. I mean, come on. Of course he deserves a chance.
I'm going to disagree.
He was trending on Twitter when he got cut by Canadian football.
I gotta disagree
100%.
because I'm sorry, I do not think that he will be successful at the AAF level.
And it's not why they signed him. They signed him to make money.
Why do you think the Mets signed Tim Tebow to a minor league contract? They don't care if he does well in the minor league. He'll probably never make it to the pros. But if he does, and he does it in the minors, he's going to sell a ton of jerseys. He's going to sell a ton of seats, and that's why you
cannot tell me that stats do not factor into this and that it's all about
Not
money.
for a league
How
like
about
this.
And plus, how about what's the drop-off going to be between the CFL and the AAF? Is it going to be that big of a difference? How bad could he possibly be, Maluso?
Threw
How
7
many people
interceptions,
are-
including one on his opening drive in the CFL with
Who
Montreal.
cares?
Who cares?
I
He
want to
brings
go
money
see
in.
Johnny Manziel because he's a controversial figure. I'm buying that ticket.
If he's selling the most jerseys, I could care less if he's
All right.
throwing 20 interceptions.
I personally think it was all about but whatever. So NFL free agency is well underway. What I am just itching to know is what team do you guys think had the best offseason thus far? Mike, please start us off.
As a Steelers fan, I don't want to say it pains me to see it because I've seen this team struggle so bad, and I pity them so much. I think the Browns have hit it out of the park this offseason. Granted, the Olivier Vernon, OBJ trades, they gave up a huge price, and I think one of the things that gets looked over in that trade by the Browns is turning away guard Kevin Zeitler. I think Zeitler is a huge factor in that offense. He's one of the better guards in the league, and I think you need to keep Baker Mayfield together. But I think the OBJ move and the Vernon move.
I'm going to give a
plus the
shout
other
out. I'm going to give a
picks
shout out
would be
to our
huge.
producer Brandon Ailman, who is a big New York Jets fan.
Jets.
I purposely said his name wrong. Just want to point that out, but I really don't care. I'm taking the New York Jets. I mean, they signed the best defensive player. They signed the best offensive player in C.J. Mosley and Le'Veon Bell. I think they had the best.
I'm telling you, I don't care how homerish this sounds. Talking proud. They will. Yes, the Buffalo Bills had the best offseason because unlike signing for big names like Antonio Brown and controversial names, Brandon Beane made this team stronger at the core. That is what they. GM Brandon Beane made this team stronger at the core.
sounds like
They added Mitch Morse, who is the class's crown jewel, the highest paid center right now at 11.125. Teams are not one-player teams. They are built as a core. You see the thing that there's
He said teams aren't one-player teams.
They're not one-player teams.
One player.
You mentioned that was the start of it. You mentioned it's greatest offensive player, greatest defensive player.
I mentioned two.
Is that not a
31-year-old running back? A 2-year.
Melissa, who else did they sign?
No receivers, no defense, but they had the best offseason.
We will be laughing in your face.
One-player team, but let's say the one player that they signed.
All right,
Great argument.
I, for one, am shocked and baffled and flabbergasted that Maluso picked Buffalo. Wow. Anyway, don't go anywhere because coming up next, we have final takes. Do not change that channel, kids. And while you're on break, try to find Logan's tie. Thank you.
I was physically at school, but my mind wasn't at school. I had problems at home. That's when I met Narnese. She started helping me a little bit, like, Nia, I don't know what you're doing, but your future is more important. She's my strength. It takes a village to help somebody get their diploma. It changes your whole life.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So, I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
What to expect when you're expecting
Like here.
a teenager.
Today, I'm going to show you how to team-proof your home. First step, hide the car keys. Preferably somewhere they would never look. Challenges will come up. Be ready for them. Hi, honey.
Ready for the... Mom, you don't use mannequins in the mannequin challenge.
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Home fire drills give your family a plan of action. In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So when you drill, show everyone 2 ways out of the house, pick a safe meeting spot, and get there in under 2 minutes. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year. You can even make them fun. So everyone knows the sound and exactly what to do when they hear a smoke alarm. Go to ready.gov/fire drill and learn how to prepare your family for home fires.
Sorry. I was just thinking about how the Bills won the offseason by signing Cole Beasley and Frank Gore. Anyway, we're going to throw it over now to the desk for final takes. Adam Maluso, start us off.
So for my central take today, I want to go back briefly to the past and focus on a remark that Don Cherry made several weeks ago on CBC's Hockey Night in Canada as he ripped into the Carolina Hurricanes and their excessive celebrations after each win at PNC Arena. Now, I want to make it known right now, I'm not bashing the entire Carolina fan base when I say this, but to me, the exaggerating celebrations every time the Canes win is, to well be frank, it's getting extremely annoying. I congratulate head coach Rod Brindamore and his staff for stringing together one hell of a push back into the playoffs, at least for now. They're only in the wild card. But these repeated celebrations have got to end. It's insulting to the other team. It doesn't show any sportsmanship on the part of Carolina. It's only gloating, not expression, as anybody may call it. Call me wrong, whatever you want. And it's the same with wearing those Hartford Whalers jerseys. You're not in Hartford, so why are you doing it? Even to just honor your past culture. Call me old school, call me insensitive, whatever else you want, but it's not right. And I know I'm not the only person that's tired of the Canes showboating.
Well, geez, Maluso, if that mustache didn't make you sound like an old man, that take definitely did. My lord, have some fun, man. You're playing hockey. You're playing a game for a living. My final take time. For my final take, I'm going to give my thoughts on the NEC champion women's basketball team. I'm going to start off by saying congratulations. You have earned every bit of that trophy, and rightfully so. From the opening tip of conference play to the final buzzer this past Sunday, the women's basketball team was without a doubt the best team in the NEC. However, what is so impressive about this team is not their ability to play the game of basketball, which is spectacular in its own right, but rather the behavior on the court that this team displays. And this was on display perfectly in the NEC championship game, as the St. Francis Red Flash were the antithesis of the Colonials in this area. Throughout the championship game, there were numerous occasions where St. Francis players snapped back at the referees, specifically star players for the Red Flash and Jess Kovac and Sam Sabino. On the other side of the court, there were very few instances where the Colonials showed their frustrations at all, and these instances were minor, and not once did I see a player verbally abuse a ref. This team's stoic actions on the court are truly inspirational. Congratulations to Coach B and the rest of the ladies on the team. You guys have earned your crown. Good luck in Louisville.
The Robert Morris men's hockey team is heading to Buffalo this weekend to take on number 1 seeded AIC in the AHA semifinals. If Robert Morris were to defeat AIC and move on to the championship, it will be the 3rd time in a row that they will have defeated the number 1 seeds in the AHA semifinals. We have often criticized this year's team from the men's hockey performance from the men's hockey team, and it was fair. I mean, the usual powerhouse Colonial hockey team finished 8th in the AHA and had a record of 12-20-2 before heading into the playoffs, and like we said, 2 wins in the second half of the year up until March. It is also fair to say that the season ends up being good because this is a young team in the semifinals. This is the largest class of 11. It's very, very impressive by Derek Schooley. They, like the women's basketball team, they deserve everything they got. Thank you all for joining us today. That's all the time we have. We will see you in 2 weeks.